tuning in to the launch of A Woman's Guide to Business Domination. Oh my goodness, we are so excited. I have been interviewing all of our co-authors for the last couple of hours, and oh my goodness, we have Babita Spinelli here next, who is going to be talking about her chapter called Letting Your Mission Guide Your Strategy. Oh my goodness. Babita, for those of you who don't know it, is a psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and CEO at Open the Doors Psychotherapy and Babita Spinelli Group. She's an internationally recognized psychotherapist. She's an executive coach, a mental health consultant, a relationship expert, specializing in helping people to optimize relationships and thrive. And isn't that the joy in life, to be in that position where you're thriving? She is also a former lawyer and Wall Street executive, and she brings that unique perspective to managing mental health issues and relationships in the workplace, developing business strategies relating to human dynamics, resolving high conflict issues. Oh my goodness, we need someone like Babita in our camp. Welcome to our launch, Babita.
Oh, thank you so much, Annie. It's so lovely to be here.
Such a joy to have you sharing with us today on this very exciting day. And I'd love to just focus this time today on why did you choose this topic to be your chapter?
Great question. First of all, so exciting to be able to be part of this incredible book that is going to be such a resource for entrepreneurs and business persons, out in the world. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to write about, I was passionate about this because of my own journey. When I decided to transition from Wall Street and corporate America, essentially, into creating my own business, I received so much information. I felt so bombarded and actually even overwhelmed because I was thrown into, I need to have a strategy. I need to make sure, what is my financial plan? What are my goals? What do I want to accomplish? What is my marketing strategy? All of those things that come with business strategy. And I really didn't know where to begin. And over time, through particular resources and my own due diligence in this space, I realized that it was very essential about what my why was, what my mission was, and that would build my strategy. I thought about it like this because part of me like transitioning from corporate America was what's meaningful to me, right? What is my purpose? What is my raison d'etre? Reason to be. And then it struck me that is actually essentially how I should see my business. First, I need to figure out what is the purpose and mission? What are my values? What is the impact I want to make in my business? My mission statement. Then I built the strategy based on that. And I have to tell you, as someone who almost has a 7-figure of 2 companies now, leading with that has made a huge difference for me.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So it's actually saying, get back to basics, get back to your reason for being. All right. Why do you turn up every day? Why do you open the doors and see customers, clients? What is it all about? What are you trying to achieve is what you're saying in that time in business, whether in this business, it might be for 5 years, 10 years, it might be for 30, 40 years, right? Why do you actually show up every day is critical.
Exactly. Why do you show up every day? And is what you're doing as you're building your business aligning with going back to your why? So, one of the things I write about in this chapter is saying in this journey, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs may be able to resonate with this. Sometimes, 1, we try to be everything to everyone. And 2, we try and do it all. And if we go back to our why, if we go back to what is our mission and our purpose, it helps us set our own boundaries around not trying to do everything, not trying to be everything to everyone, and being more intentional around who we work with, what projects we decide to take on. And ultimately, then that's going to help you with your strategy. It's going to help you with your budget. It's going to help you with your goals because you're essentially going back to your why, your raison d'etre, your reason for your business. And then your strategy around what you're doing is going to be sort of based on that. So let's say someone says to you, like, I'd love to work with you on X, Y, and Z, or would you want to collaborate with me on this? Sometimes as business owners, we want to do it all and just say yes. But then you have to really think about when you're building your plate and what you're doing. Does what is being asked of me align with my values? Am I taking this on, but it's not going to really continue to further my purpose? And that's so critical in being a successful entrepreneur, right? Otherwise, we end up losing sight of what was our initial vision in the first place.
Yes. And that's when you can go, oh my goodness, I've got all these goals and I've achieved them and I've ticked, I've got all of these, accolades, but I'm not happy. It's not working for me. And you kind of go, how's that possible? And that's possibly because you focused on strategy as you started this conversation. And strategy, you can even pinch from other people. What are other people doing? What's the strategy for being able to nail this area? And you go so busy on strategy that determines your goals that you then go, yeah, well, that's not necessarily going to get you to the destination that you want or fulfill your heart, particularly if you're a purpose-driven business.
Exactly. And I think we can lose sight of that because, clearly we're very passionate, right? As an entrepreneur, you tend to be very passionate about your business, but you can also have burnout if you don't set those boundaries. I feel when we formulate our mission statement and we keep going back to it, we can at least try to avoid some of those pitfalls around burnout. Because we're going back to our mission. We're saying, wait a second, does this serve me? And does this serve the clients that I want to serve? Now, one of the misnomers, I think, is individuals say, well, Babita, if I keep going back to my mission statement, does that mean I'm not growing? Does that mean I'm not expanding? Does that mean I'm not kind of doing more out in the world? And I say no. And you could look at my own business around that. I do a lot of things. I started off with a traditional psychotherapy practice. I ended up expanding my services and now doing consulting. You could still expand your services and stick to your mission statement. And I use Warby Parker and Starbucks as business models, right? Warby Parker, they want to impact and inspire the world with affordable but stylish vision wear. They started with glasses. These were college kids that formed this company. And now they do contacts. Just because they do contacts doesn't mean that they've lost their commitment, their mission. Similarly to Starbucks, it is something like to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one cup, one neighborhood at a time, something like that, right? When they say today it's pumpkin spice latte, tomorrow it's matcha, have they lost their mission statement? No. So one of the things I write about in the chapter that people start to say, well, if you have a mission statement and you have these values, does that mean I can't expand? Does that mean I can't grow? It's actually the opposite. You just have this umbrella to say, do these services continue to align with my values?
It just keeps you true. It just keeps you true to your reason for being there. So exactly what you have to do initially, right, is your core business. So it's nailing the core and then being able to expand as long as it aligns, is what you're saying, to the mission.
Yes, as long as it aligns to the mission. And maybe your mission evolves. Maybe there might be some tweaks over time. And so that's the other piece of it, I think, for business owners. Sometimes we can have a fixed mindset and then say, well, I've committed to doing this. What if I end up deciding to just shift? It's okay. Just go back to asking yourself some core questions like, what are the things, does it still go with your values? If we want to tweak the language around our mission, are we looking at who we want to sell to, who we want to make an impact or a difference? Like, just continue to ask yourself those questions and you can still shift your mission, because I would say this, just as we shift ourselves in our life, we don't want to be stagnant. we are meaningful, and what's meaningful to us personally and professionally is continuously moving. So we also don't have to have a rigidity about it. We can say, after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's okay to revisit our mission statement. And you've probably experienced this in with your clients. I've experienced it with mine. Someone's like, I need to like freshen up my business. And
Yeah.
they say, I've got my mission statement, then I built my strategy, but I kind of feel like I want to freshen things up. Is that okay? It's like, absolutely. Let's look at this and say, now what is your raison d'etre? Let's go back to that.
Why do you think people just jump that step? They get so excited. It's just so common. Like most people even go, if you said, well, what's your mission? They go, oh, I don't know, but this is my strategy. This is what I'm trying to achieve. This is who I serve. And they're so focused on the problem they solve and who they serve. And while things are good, they're great. But if suddenly something happens and then you don't get the clients in, then they get in a rut, but they don't go back to that mission. Right? Why do you think, although you say it's so critical and at the core, and I totally agree, but why do you think people then miss that? Why don't they just know? You'd think it'd be obvious. This is why I've gone into business. Why don't I focus on that? Why don't I plaster it on the wall?
I feel there are a couple of reasons for that. I mean, the first part is, and I think for me, coming from corporate America, working at an investment bank, and being a lawyer, I was taught to think in a certain way. And so I looked at numbers. I would look at, what is my project plan? What is my strategy? And that was what I led with, because that sort of worked in corporate America and very large corporations. But then I realized that also in corporate America, what we sometimes don't know behind the scenes is there is a team of people that is sitting there also looking at what is the values, the culture, the vision, the mission of the company. But so the first part is, we're taught, or we think, or we're programmed that this is what it means to be successful, and this is how we need to do it, even when we go to business school or law school. So I would say that's the first part. The second part, I would say, is our fear. I think for many starting business owners or startups, there's a real fear that the mission statement, or looking at that, feels like fluff. It feels a bit unimportant, and we're afraid that if we don't go into strategy first, that we might be missing something, that we're actually not doing the work, that we're not thinking like a business owner, and that something right is going to happen, that we won't end up being successful. So it's our fear, and it's our, I think, misinterpretation around the space and what we're taught. And then I think the third part of it is that we often sometimes have our own stories going back into, I would say, it goes back to like our family roots, our origin, our histories, where we might have some self-limiting beliefs that we might carry with us. So we might have these high expectations, and we get very stuck and overwhelmed when we think about our purpose. We may have had messaging from our families that really, like, is it successful? When you think about your purpose, you should really be doing it like this. Think about the destination, not the journey. All sorts of things that have come up in our lives and our stories, that we almost have to clear that clutter as well. And often those stories lead us to say, well, I should just be looking at strategy. I shouldn't be looking at my mission, that somehow that gets lost in what is important.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I've just, if I look back on the last decade of being a CEO in organizations, the board strategy sessions are often just going straight to strategy. They don't go back to the roots. They go, we know we've got a mission and a vision and a purpose or whatever, but they don't even reassess that or think, are we aligned? They'll go straight to strategy. And I think this is because strategy, they'll go, that's where you've got your return of investment, right? The strategy is going to bring more dollars in. Strategy is going to make people more efficient. Strategy is going to save, waste. it's going to have all these reasons for actually getting some quick returns. And so that's what you're looking for. It's a very short-term method, like it's good. We all need strategy, but but if you don't have your sort of foundations right, then there'll at some stage there'll be a misalignment of that, is what
Oh,
your experience is, and that's what my experience is.
absolutely. And I think those are really valid points you're making because, and we're not saying, as you're saying, we're not saying that strategy shouldn't exist. We're saying that the foundation is your mission and build your strategy around it. And I do think often individuals are looking at return of investment and they're thinking, how can I make money?
Yeah.
I follow my strategy and do it that way. That's the way I'm going to make money. That's my return on investment. But I think what it is it really does take, if we're going to do it that way, we're missing a step. Why is Warby Parker? Why is Starbucks? Why are these companies so successful? They took their time to say, is my strategy aligning with the values and the impact I want to make to our consumers? Once we narrow that down, our consumers, the people that will buy our products, they will come because they will resonate and connect with our mission. Otherwise, we're throwing spaghetti on the wall. All we're thinking about is our return of investment, but we're not honing in on who we want to attract. If we hone in on who we want to attract, which is based on our values and other people's values, we're actually going to be more abundantly successful. The money is going to come.
Exactly, because people will know what you stand for. They know your heart, and particularly the millennial market and the Gen Zs, they'll actually they'll shop specifically because of the story. Because you give to charity, because you are conscious of, gender empowerment, equality, or whatever, these core foundations of a company, of why they operate and they do business the way they do it, actually are becoming stronger and stronger as a business value to the markets who are their consumers. So exactly. So while you're thinking the strategy is, which is pretty much just ways of doing business and getting that return, which has been on historical models, if you like, if it doesn't align with who you are, or if who you are doesn't resonate with a growing market, then you're in trouble.
Absolutely. And then you're going to find yourself going in so many different directions and
Yeah.
also not being able to measure yourself, which is so important in business, is to really say, well, where am I investing and what is my return? And am I trying to do too much? Where am I even putting my own energy and my own funds? I'm doing that in so many spaces and I'm not aligning with my values, then am I sort of what people say when they feel like they're all over the place? That's probably why.
Exactly.
Going back to their why. They're sort of
doing too much.
It's too much. And then they're like, why am I not getting my ROI? Why am I doing all of these lead magnets and click funnels and investing on, Google ads and doing all of these things? Well, when you go back to it and you're putting in all of that investment and that you think that that's part of your strategy, do all of these things target who you're trying to serve? And if it's not, and it's sort of very all over the place, you're actually not going to get your return.
Exactly. You really are throwing that spaghetti at the wall because you're not serving anyone. You're just going out there randomly, and it's never going to help you. This chapter is so important, and I'm so thrilled that you've come to share with us about it today. For those of you who are listening in, seriously, when you actually get this copy of A Women's Guide to Business Domination, so just go to kmdbooks.com. You can get it now. It's also on Kindle if you need as well. It is going to have so much wisdom. This topic alone, this chapter alone, letting your mission guide your strategy. I tell you what, I've been a for purpose CEO for the last, 15 years or so, and it is absolutely critical. This is a critical chapter for you to read and to learn from Babita's wisdom here, because, it is often an area that's just like, oh yeah, I can't even remember, like, oh, well, I'm here. You have to really think, what is your mission? What are you trying to achieve with your business? Which is amazing, because that's why you actually do all that you do. And we often think the other parts are more exciting, and that we're going to get more attention for it, or we're going to prepare for it more. But at the end of the day, if you're not getting back to your basics, and making sure that you're true to them, you're actually wasting a lot of time and energy, money, and you're not serving the clients that wanting to serve to the best of your ability. So well done, Babita, for writing such an amazing chapter. It is going to be such a blessing to those who read. You can also reach out to Babita at babitaspinelligroup.com. She's very easy to find. She's on social. She would love to connect with you. So all of our authors are all global in their presence. So it's not a problem to just reach out, connect, and share if you've got any questions after reading her chapter as well. So any final words from you, Babita, to those listening in who are getting their hands on this book?
I always like to say that when I think about also this book, like we're all walking each other home, we're all helping each other out. I love this book and I loved writing a chapter in this book because it's so important to be able to share what we've learned in our journey, in our wisdom, and know that everybody has their challenges and struggles, but we'll get there one small but mighty step at a time. And it
Mm.
brings you such joy.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing in our very exciting global launch. And I felt very razzy jazzy at the beginning with that little trailer, and it's been quite exciting. And I'm just so thrilled by the caliber of the authors in this book. Seriously, all of you who are thinking about getting your hands on it, it is so valuable, so much diverse thinking amongst all the authors. And Babita's is really going to impress you. I've already had a sneak peek, and I know you're in very, very good hands. So thank